Freedom 250, an embarrassment.
Are you guys big fans of President Trump? Is that also why you're here?
Huge UFC fans. I don't think politics has a lot to do with this.
Hang on a second. Politics has nothing to do with this?
Why are you so excited to have the UFC on the White House lawn?
We get to show real men how to be real men on a real man's lawn. Fuck the liberals. Fuck that fake shit. We're all about USA. If you cut me, I bleed red, white, and blue, baby.
Now, I got to ask you, what's the best birthday gift you've ever gotten?
This guy right here. If you point to the camera, to this guy, that's my best birthday gift. I walked in, the universe gifted him to me, and now here we are, about to walk through this gate. USA, baby, red, white, and blue.
From the fans to military flyovers, J.D. Vance, the vice president, Kash Patel, Marco Rubio, plenty more in the administration seated cage side, even fighters shaking Trump's hand and putting chains on him. Speaking of that fighter, former NFL player Josh Hokett. Well, in his post-fight interview with Joe Rogan, who wears big boy ties at big boy events, it went as follows.
Hey, shout out to Trump for having the balls to put some shit like this on. And if I'm gonna say anything, there's only one person more incredible than the Incredible Hulk, and that's my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And lastly, Michelle Obama is a man.
You know where he got that from?
What's up, guys? It's Benny. This has got to be one of the best weeks of Michelle Obama's life. She's finally getting the thing she craves the very most. Everyone is paying attention to her. Michelle Obama, super rich, privileged lady who's a professional victim worth hundreds of millions of dollars, who hasn't provided any value or service to the American economy at all. Let's start with Michelle Obama being compared to the new predator creature from Disney. I don't know if Disney did this on purpose. Pretty mean, Disney, if you did that. Based. This was Michelle Obama. Is this the attention that you wanted, Michelle Obama? Was this it? Michelle Obama getting all that attention she so desperately craves because she says she's a black man?
The far right, of course.
Stu Peters. And he tweeted out this collage of pictures. Let's put that on screen. Let's put the collage of pictures, please. Barack Obama doesn't have children, and he definitely didn't have them with Michelle, in quotes. Martin Nesbitt and Anita Blanchard are Sasha and Malaya Obama's real parents. Nesbitt is also the chairman of the Obama Foundation. The guy in the far left is Martin Nesbitt. He looks a lot like, almost identical, to Barack and Michelle's oldest daughter. These are just facts.
They're not. Whitlock, like many, many others, are using this as a dog whistle to say, I am with you, I hear you, now hear me. This followed digitally altered photos of the former First Lady that the right uses to argue in bad faith.
Who is Michelle Obama? Is she really a woman? Is she a man? Especially when every time I look at Michelle or Michael Obama, the First Lady or the First, every time I look at them, something doesn't look right.
But sure, can't be a political event. It's not a political event. Even though MAGA influencer and Russian asset Jack Posobiec would tweet, "We're witnessing the end of the left in real time." You know, Jack Posobiec, the same dude that the Southern Poverty Law Center found to be collaborating with white supremacists, neo-fascists, and anti-Semites for years now, while producing propaganda that Trump and his inner circle have publicly celebrated. He'd even captioned a photo with Trump political advisor Stephen Chung and Fox News host Harris Faulkner with, "The left has gone into cardiac arrest." I'm going into cardiac arrest because I see Stephen Chung and Harris Faulkner. I understand, like, there is an audience for this, but how dense can one possibly be? Then when Sean O'Malley took on Eamon Zahabi, a Canadian, spectators shouted, "Canada is the 51st state" throughout the bout, which was a direct nod to this.
Well, we can always, look, what I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars.
Donald Trump is at it again. The U.S. president posting an article on social media about Canada falling into a technical recession. But it's the two words Trump added that are gaining the most attention. 51st state.
Luke Thomas, who I've even hosted on this very show, went on the Dan Le Batard show to discuss how inherently political this event was.
Can you believe that there were people who have tried to debate me on the idea that MMA is not a right-wing sport? I'm like, you have got to have been hit in the head with a tire iron to the point where your frontal lobe no longer functions really in any sort of observable capacity. It is quite obviously right-wing to the bone. It can be nothing else at this point by virtue of, look at the speech codes that are tolerated. A lot of people in conservative media saying, Donald Trump delivered this for us. Like this is some kind of policy objective and campaign promise that he made good on.
Slate was even on hand and would post this. Kash Patel cut a segment to promote his UFC training camp for federal agents. On-screen footage would show UFC fighter Michael Chandler explaining to an FBI agent how to neutralize an armed assailant with hand-to-hand combat. Yeah, totally not political.
For Dana White to say that he hoped this event brought Americans together, I'm not even sure why he would hope that, considering the behavior of his fighters, the behavior of himself, and some of the things that fighters have said, and even some of the people who support this. By no coincidence that on the day this event happened, or the next day, there was a report that Donald Trump now officially holds the worst approval rating of any president in history. It's 28%. That means almost 70% of the country disapproves of this man. And this is the person whose face is on this entire event. So if almost 70% of people don't mess with the dude who you've made the face of this event, how exactly is this bringing Americans together? There was a particular type of white nationalism that was ever present in the room watching this fight or watching this event.
How does one not view this event as political when the sitting president of the United States of America, Donald John Trump, who probably cares more about money than his children at this point, reportedly purchased between $15,000 and $50,000 worth of stock in TKO Holding Group, the UFC's parent company. And that came just a couple of weeks after the lineup dropped for UFC Freedom 250 per Variety. As Marlo Stern would write, more than anything, though, UFC Freedom 250 was a vulgar display of power by President Trump, who views America as one giant sandbox filled with toys for him to play with. You know what gets me? Is you still have people thinking that the UFC is not political. You have folks in this country who view this event as not political. And yet, we see everyone who is cage side. We see the promos they're cutting. We see some fighters, if not all, embracing the President of the United States. And it is masquerading as a birthday event for the president to gift himself, and also Joe Rogan, Daniel Cormier, John Anik, UFC as a whole, Dana White, the fighters, etc. And also to promote a company that he has stock in. And what he is doing is paying it forward. Why exactly? Because after the January 6th insurrection, we even saw professional golf close their doors to Donald Trump. Rightfully so, may I add. And yet there was one sport that rehabilitated his image. There was one sport that did walkouts for him. There was one sport that served as his stomping grounds, and it was the UFC. They sports washed his image. They made him seem a little more normal than anything that we saw after January 6th. The UFC, for the most part, is solely responsible, aside from, of course, bad faith actors who will latch onto power any way that they can, whether it is through mass media, political advisors, strategists, etc. From a pure sports standpoint, there is one above all else that really helped Donald Trump reach the Oval Office for the second go-around. And it was Dana White and the UFC. So I don't want to hear that these events are not political, because it truly tells me that although you may be of the belief that politics and sports should be separate, it never has, and this is one more example of how it never will.